to especially welcome you to another exciting moment in today's powerful edition of SPELG. And today we are going to be looking at a very important topic that I choose to entitle Leadership Corrupt Systems that Affects Election in the Continent of Africa, a case study of Nigeria, the leadership corrupt system. One of our vision or focus or aims and objective here at SPELG, SPELG means Sunday Politics, Economy, Leadership, and Governance. And SPELG is brought to you by iGold Africa. And we are every live at the International Center for Leadership Diplomacy, Economic and Human Development over Imo State, West Africa. And it is important that we look at some leadership systems. Some of them are formal, some of them are informal, that has affected electioneering process in the continent of Africa, a case study of Nigeria. Why? Because elections play a strong and very important role in the development of a nation. The issues of trade, the issues of commerce, the issues of security, the issues of international and national interests. When it has to do issues of political economy, and then trying to bring issues of health, issues of agriculture, issues of strategic intelligence in making both international and national decisions by the military. Each and every one of these policy statements, whether foreign policy or national policy, draws a strong inference from whatever that goes on in the electioneering process. Whosoever that becomes the new sheriff in any political dispensation, democratic as it were, will definitely affect each of these aforementioned political systems, which are aforementioned economic and social political systems. That anyone that becomes a leader, definitely the person is going to determine a whole lot in the educational sector, in the media, or what happens when it has to do with international trade. So it becomes very important that we look at why is it that even after every election, Africans are always complaining, Nigerians are always worried. We always see civilian presidents and leaders of different political parties canvassing for vote in Nigeria in recent time. And a lot of people are worried, and a lot of people have actually lost hope in voting, in engagement in the leadership process or leadership choice process in this particular nation that is called Nigeria, that has over 200 and something million people, multi-ethnic and multi-religious system. So my job this day is to make sure that I do what I can call a critical diagnosis of the leadership corrupt systems that have put, as it were, into a kind of political pigeonhole 200 and something million people, making the nation look as if that the nation is a political or national orphan, whereas a nation is supposed to be a political or a national first son, as it were. So today, I'll be highlighting these political systems, I'll be highlighting this political leadership that has affected or has increased the corruption that is always going on in continent of Africa, by extension, the powerful nation called Nigeria. All right, the number one leadership corrupt system that has affected the electioneering process in the continent of Africa, by extension Nigeria, is the leadership corrupt system of citizens. The leadership corrupt system of citizens. Everything rises and falls on leadership. One of the great mentors on leadership has always quoted. And want to let us know that every corrupt system, every corrupt electioneering process starts with the corrupt citizens. As long as the citizens are corrupt, it will definitely affect the corrupt systems that I'm going to be mentioning from now. That is why I've always advocated that the subject matter of transformation is very critical in the development and the transformation of a nation. It is important for leadership, it's important for persons who hold government positions to bring out a very well articulated roadmap or blueprint that is needed or during the electioneering process. But number one, I have this proper diagnosis that I've done. The number one is that until citizens change, until there is a domestication of the transformation agenda in the life of citizens, in the life of the normal man on the street, in the life of the average man on the street, in the life of the blacksmith that is seated down here, and in the life of that particular person that's the CEO of an established company, that person that is the chief responsibility officer of that particular establishment, or the president of a nation, or members of House of Parliament, or members of Senate. As long as we have a set of people that are corrupt, we have the teachers that are corrupt, we have the professors that are corrupt, as long as we have these normal citizens who go about their responsibilities, their daily duties, and they are saddled with this mindset of corruption, I want to let you know that it's a strong leadership system. The masses, they are a strong leadership system that has created this ocean of corruption that have waded into the Nigerian electoral process, and altogether is affecting the general polity of this wonderful nation called Nigeria. Okay, having mentioned the issue of the masses, it is imperative that the issue of education, the national domestic reorientation, becomes a very critical tool that is needed to deal with that issue. As long as the people are dealt with in the area of corruption, I bet you me that it's going to be unusual change and unusual transformation in our electioneering process. All right, the second class of leadership system that has actually fertilized corruption during our electioneering process is the political parties. The political parties, yes. We have in Nigeria the APC, the PDP, the Accord. We have about 14 political parties, the Labour Party. You find that majority of the people, I have had interactions with most of the political parties, and I've run for elections in my state, and I've mingled with political parties. Most of the political parties, people that are heading these political parties from the National Executive Council of those political parties down to the ward. Majority of them, let me not say all of them, majority of the people that are occupying those leadership positions are corruption sensitive. In fact, those people have price tag. It depends on how much the person that is desirous of getting involved in the electioneering process can offer. So you find that positions that are supposed to be transformational positions will always be given to people who have the cash to spread. Just like in this election that is still going on, and then tribunal and all the rest of them, the subject matter of bribery, the subject matter of vote buying, the subject matter of rigging, the subject matter of manipulation of results, if you find that these things actually started from the political parties. Every political party that is in Nigeria, 99% of them are saddled with corruption. So you find that most people who are strong, who are intelligent, who are innovative, who are supposed to be part of the leadership system that could change Nigeria and make Nigeria another Singapore in Africa or even all over the world. But you find that the political parties, I mean 99% of the political parties are corrupt, and people that are heading these positions, the National Working Committee members of almost all the political parties, they are all massively corrupt, because you find a situation where you have someone that has integrity, competence, someone that is productive, and the person wins a senatorial seat, or the person happens to win a governorship seat in the primaries, and you find out that within a space of time, because of the space that is given for a replacement, you find out that these political parties can collect close to 100 million naira, 200 million naira, and do an exchange at your back, and all they will just tell you is to go to the court. And you find out that at all points where these things happen, it's going to ferment, it's going to fertilize, and it's going to create a lot of large holes where corruption systems can actually flow through. So once we deal with the issues of the leadership system of the masses, the next people that we need to deal with is the leadership system of the political parties. People that are in those systems are saddled with corruption weight. All right, the third leadership system is a system that I call the leadership system of delegates. You find out that in every electoral process, it's not everybody that is a member of the political party that will vote because of the largeness or the large numbers that everyone is expected to deal with. So we find out that most times, let's say for instance, in some states you have 305. Some states you have about 700, you have about 300, you have about 200, depending on the number of local governments of that particular state, and also depending on the number of wards that these states have. So these guys who are delegates, these guys who are expected to vote the right candidate during their primaries, because other political parties will bring out their candidates because they are aspirants. From aspirants, you move into becoming a candidate. These aspirants, most of them have sold out for cheap $1,000, $2,000. And I don't blame them most times, but that is one of the leadership systems. As long as there is this corruption system from the leadership masses and also from the leadership of the political parties, it's going to definitely flow into the delegates. You find out that the delegates are not interested in your manifesto, or they are interested because of what they have actually experienced before. They will always tell you, let me just take advantage of whatever resources that is going to come my way today, and then I can actually get away from that. And I've actually gotten from grapevine sources that most of these delegates pay money to this aforementioned the leadership system or political parties for them to become delegates. So you find out when somebody pays close to 50,000 naira for the person to become a delegate, you find out that the person will not want the 50,000 naira to go. He will actually look for a governorship candidate or a senatorial candidate or an aspirant to actually give him about 300,000 so that he can actually make some profits and then call for meetings and all the rest of them. So you find out that the delegates, the leadership system of delegates, is one of the major systems that have actually orchestrated corruption and have affected the right choices that is expected to be made by several political parties in Africa and by extension of Nigeria. Okay, having dealt with the leadership system of aspirants, we're going to go into the leadership system of those that are candidates. Yes. Once the aspirants have moved or migrated towards becoming candidates, you will discover that that's where money and economic power play and issues of strong political power, interplays of different nomenclatures and designs will actually override the issues of emotion. They have always told us that politics is amoral, that you don't bring in the issue of religion into politics. You find that's where people sell their conscience. You find that's where candidates can actually go at any length to even annihilate or clear anybody who they seem or perceive that this person might be a kind of bottle in their neck. So this is where the massiveness of corruption, the candidates are responsible. So you find that this candidate comes to the point where the person spends close to about, let's say, $1 billion, depending on if the person is running for House of Rep, about 3 billion if the person is running for, let's say, something like a senatorial position, or the person spends close to about 4 billion or 6 billion or 7, 10 billion, depending on the state. Instead, like Lagos, Nigeria, you should be spending close to about 12, 14 billion in order for you to win the governorship seat of a very powerful global city like Lagos. So if I find such kind of person, as long as the person wants that position, he should be able to have that kind of money to spread, because not everybody will want to vote for you because you are competent. Not everybody will want to vote for you because you're a person of worth. They will always want you to believe that everybody who goes in there will always do the normal corruption systems and as it were. So the candidates, they fought, and these people are critical in determining the corruption or otherwise of any election process. And then the final stage, as it were for today, is the electoral umpire, talking about the electoral commission that is involved. For Nigeria is INEC. So you find out that the returning officers, you find out that the persons that are collecting the result, the agents, the party agents, the people that are involved in different aspects of collecting the result, making sure you register the candidates, making sure that you register the electorate, persons who want to vote at that particular point. The manipulations of results, they are done within the REC, cadre, done within the state REC and the local government, and returning officers or whatever election nomenclature that they have chosen to go by. So if these people are the ones that manipulate the system, they always want the candidates to pay them a certain amount of money. And you find that there's this new slogan that said, why don't you just declare me the governor or the president and let's go to court? And that brings me to the last part of the leadership corruption system, which is the court. As someone said that whatever the judges decide becomes law. But you find out that the court is supposed to be the last hope of the common man that is on the street. But there has been the rape of justice in recent times in Nigeria, and it has affected every aspect of our electoral process, where you find out that the judges can be bribed, whether it's a Court of Appeal judges or the Supreme Court judges or the tribunal, the persons that are involved in the tribunal processes. Each of these people are, many of them actually, let me not say all of them, many of these people, 99% of them, they have a price tag. Most of them are being offered close to 1 billion for them to declare that this person, all those resources that we have received and all the rest of them. So you find out that these several leadership systems will definitely affect the electioneering process, and it has affected the electioneering process for a long time. That's why I always advocate that everyone that wants to be a governor, let's say an incumbent governor who wants to run for an election, it is expected that he must step down. I believe there should be a law that says that anybody wants to, if you're an incumbent governor, if you're an incumbent president, I advocate that you need to step down. You need to step down 1 year before the next election, because you cannot be using the security architecture, the economic architecture. You cannot be using the social architecture of an existing system as a state governor and be running the election. Is going to be something that is very, very crazy, because you are the one that appoint the judges. You are the one that do the final description of whoever that is going to be part of the tribunal, as it were. When you find out that it is the president that finally looks at the final assent, who becomes the chief justice of the federation. And you find out that even persons who are involved in the Supreme Court, most of them are a kind of loyal to the president, most of them are loyal to the governors. So I always advocate, and I've always advocated, that there should be an adjustment in that regard, that if you're an incumbent president, if you're an incumbent governor, if you're an incumbent senator, if you're an incumbent House of Rep member, it is important that you resign, you hand over to your deputy, you hand over to someone as established by law, whatever, so that you can actually go and run the election and try your popularity after spending about 4 years in that constituency. So having dealt with this, it's important for us to realize that we can actually make a powerful change in our system. And this is where the church comes in, and this is where the religious organizations come in, and this is where civil society groups come in, and this is where a lot of individuals like you can actually come in. And this is what we're doing today at iGold Africa. We are committed, and we're making sure that everything becomes an exceptional in our continent and in our nation. I want to take out this time to especially invite everyone that is listening to me to our iGold Leadership and Economic Conference that is always an annual event that transforms life, exposes everyone to what it takes to become an outstanding leader. And it's going to be coming up this year, 2023, 27th of May, and the time is 9 a.m. And we're going to be looking at leading with vision in an uncertain times. And it's critical for every leader, banker, chief executive officer, student leaders, politicians, and what have you. It promises to be a wonderful time as we engage our minds together. All right, till I see you next week, I remain your friend and your brother, Barrister EMMANUEL. This is SPELG, Sunday Politics, Economy, Leadership, and Governance. And SPELG is brought to you by iGold Africa, and we are live here every Sunday, 5:30 p.m. at the International Center for Leadership, Diplomacy, Economic, and Human Development. Till I see you next week, do have a wonderful week ahead.